practice, and so the players were fresher, I think faster. We shortened practice just a hair, but I think it was more competitive. I think it was more physical, and probably the best we'd thrown and caught the ball in team settings in 4 days. So that was encouraging.
Kind of one of those good news, bad news things. The offense looked really good, and the defense not so much.
Part of fall camp, and so it still works out great because it exposes a play or two here or there, and it's fun to see balls being thrown and caught downfield, and that was good. And in between that, we got a ton of run and play action work as well, which with shoulder pads on, kind of sounded a little bit better and more physical.
Full pads tomorrow. You have the chance to.
Full pads tomorrow. Yep. It won't change the practice format, but we'll just have pants on.
And you'll go in the morning tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning. With our summer bridge players, the young players with classwork, etc., we're just having a pretty unique practice schedule to make sure we can get most of them out for each practice.
Bronco, you talked last year a lot about what the Riley Stevenson meant to this team. What are you seeing from Scott and in trying to fill those shoes?
So far, Scott's been really consistent in the limited settings we put him in, but we've asked him to pin the ball inside the 10 a number of times. He's done that. He's kicking consistently, and again, it's not the same as being in the stadium or live action, but he's capable. He's shown that, and now how he handles the season and not the pressure, that'll be something else, but I'm pretty comfortable with him to this point.
Does Sorensen look a lot more comfortable this year than he did as far as last year?
Yeah, in fact, yesterday we didn't miss a field goal or PAT between any of the three kickers, and it wasn't just one kicker; it was all three. Where there wasn't a miss the entire day. So I was encouraged by that.
I would imagine your tracking percentage is pretty high through 4 days. Would you think?
Yeah, volume of kicks is way up, but also it's three kickers, and so the competition is very close and pretty fierce. But to this point, man, it's fun to see the ball go through the uprights at a higher level than it probably has in quite a while.
Has Edward Fusi made it in this week?
Not yet. Still a couple more tests that he has to take. We were hoping by today, but it doesn't look like that, so Thursday, Friday. It's hard to predict at this point, but there's a few more tests.
No worries long-term with that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But anytime you're talking about a junior college player and grades, and then you can just kind of fill in the blank after that.
Are there any others, or is he the only one?
He's the only one that has any issues to this point that I'm aware of.
Have you decided yet when you're going to pick captains?
At the end of fall camp, so that'll probably be, we usually finish with game week in 3 more days, so it'll probably be the Wednesday prior to game week at the completion of what we consider fall camp.
Will you leave that to the players, or will that be a coach's decision?
Players will choose.
Have you asked Kyle to be more of a leader this year, or is that just something that kind of comes natural with him?
No, I haven't asked him, but he's coaching our outside backers really precisely and really well right now. Coach Papinga today, his wife had a baby, and so Becca had their 3rd daughter, and now Kyle steps in and coaches the outside backers without really missing a beat. So it was fun to see. Actually, it was a combination of he and Spencer. Spencer had a little bit of a tweaked hamstring today as well, and we didn't miss a beat. Spencer was watching one side and Kyle was watching the other, and that was fun to see. I didn't ask them to. They just did it.
Leaving the O-line out of it, can you identify other position battles that you're watching right now?
Well, it's almost every position. We have a nice core of running backs. Obviously, Jamal has the edge on that, so Mike hasn't even practiced yet, but Adam Hine looks really good. Paul Lasike looks good. So I'm comfortable with our ball carriers. I like both quarterbacks that we have. And then receiver, Skylar Ridley is doing great. Ross Oppo is doing great. Mitch Matthews comes back. Cody kind of emerged again today. Eric Thornton, J.D. Falslev. Who are you going to play at tight end? I mean, there seems like plenty of depth right now. I mean, a day or two of injuries could change that, but man, to this point, I'm pretty confident.
Defensively, still that corner spot that you're looking at?
Backup field corner, Rob Daniel and Dallin Levitt are both having really nice camps so far. So one's a true freshman, one's a JC player, and I like what I've seen from both of them. And then nose tackle, we've had a few injuries there, so that's kind of set us back in terms of having whoever we want to play there. In the meantime, Ethan Manamalayun is at nose, Remington Peck and Bronson are the other ends, so we're doing that till we get a few guys healthy.
How do coaches Anai and 2J feel about what's happening up front on the O-line right now?
Work in progress, and a lot of work still to go.
What makes Sky such a good route runner, and how is that tough to defend?
Oh, Sky emerged, if you remember, back at Washington State, and man, he's so precise. And in fact, a few scouts have come in to look at Cody and have kind of left asking who was that. And so he's quick, he's fast, he's tough, but he just goes one speed, and he never drops the ball. I mean, he catches everything, and that's a good quality to have. Not that big, but fast, quick, and reliable.
Coach, you asked. Sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Skyler, can we talk about Mitch, just how he's emerging?
Yeah, Mitch had the best spring probably of any wide receiver that we had. He had a groin the past 2 days, but what the receivers are finding out is if they miss a day, they're going to be left behind. That group is deep, and they're all catching the ball. So the urgency when a guy gets hurt to be back is pretty high. And so Mitch, I think, was finding out that the injury was one thing, but if he didn't get back on the field, he might not get back on the field.
Coach, you asked my question for me. Who are you going to play at tight end, and how are you guys going to use the tight end in this new offense?
I don't know. It's too early to tell. I know you're waiting for more, but I don't know.
You mentioned Adam Hine. Can you tell a little bit about what he's doing well to kind of
He's
progress?
physical. He's really physical, and in all the special team drills, he performs like a defensive player. So that's encouraging.
3 pillars of being running back, running the ball, catching the ball in the backfield, pass pros. How's he developing in those areas?
He's good in all areas, so he's solid. And so again, Mike Elisa is healing. In the meantime, Adam is performing. And man, that's a good position to be in as a program, to have that kind of urgency going.
Probably had some concerns about Bronson playing basketball and everything. Where do you see the benefit of that looking back now and seeing him at this point?
For 285 pounds, he runs like a deer. So basketball probably had something to do with that. And yeah, I think that's it.
Looking ahead to Saturday, we may not talk a lot between now and then. What do you hope to get out of this first weekend scrimmage?
I think just more of a gauge of where each player is, and then where the scheme development is once we kind of step back and let them play. That'll let us know kind of how deep the roots are. The insertions are far from being over, but at least we can get some talent evaluations, maybe some depth established, and then some scheme evaluation, I would say, is the three things we'd look for.
Do you have a lot of ones you hope to hold out of every scrimmage this time around?
Haven't
or-
decided yet. I think we'll decide that just as we go, and scrimmage by scrimmage, practice by practice, and coach by coach. And so careful to judge the outcome because of who we're actually focusing on to see play that day. And so it's more kind of personnel oriented right now.
Bronco, you talked about the rotation that you want to do defensively and just a lot of guys in and out. As far as cohesion goes and everybody being familiar with what they're doing, is that what you're working on during camp to try and make sure everybody understands?
This early in camp we are. Eventually, only the players that are trying really hard and know what to do will be in the rotation, but we're giving everyone a chance now. It's only day 4, and so through the first week, maybe through the second week, we'll try to see what that is. And then after that, we'll put only the players that will be playing together to practice.
The Pinkus said in spring that in order to be a starter offense defense, you needed to find a role to be part of special teams.
You have to start. You have to start on the special team. If you don't start on the special team, you won't start on offense or defense.
Do you like the what that does for the guys and the emphasis that does as far as special teams go?
I was the one that approved it, so yes.
High expectations for your linebackers this season. What have you seen so far from them in fall camp?
Really like Wani Unga. He's done a super nice job, and Kyle obviously has been out, and Spencer's a little bit dinged up, but those three are exceptional. Battle at the buck linebacker spot between Tyler Beck and Manoa Pakula, but while Kyle's out, probably the most impressive defensive player to this point in camp has been Alani Fua, and so that's another outside backer. And possibly there might be a way that we put Spencer, Kyle, and Alani all on the field at the same time.
Update the boundary. Update the boundary.
Probably dead even between Dallin Levitt and Rob Daniel. I would say too early to call. All right.